Hello guys, what's going on today? So, the last video I posted was a Tarantula nighttime video 24. Now I guess it's fitting and right to post the 24th Mythbuster video. So today's video will be on the Cyclosternum species, what you need to know about them and how to care for one. So, here are my two specimens. Over on the left is a Cyclosternum schmarde, the yellow-banded bird eater. And to the right is one of the more popular of the genus, the C. fasciatum. So, but before I do that, I have two shout-out requests to Wendy, Mademoiselle 1, is into teas, as well as Blue Tarantula. He's got 9 videos, and one including on ferrets. Okay, so this Mythbuster video for the Cyclosternum species is going to include... if I can just find it. Here we go. It'll include all these following species: Fasciatum, Gaudioni, Colombia boyaca, Colombia, and Venezuela, as well as species Marshala. Okay, so the Fasciatum is actually the more common one, so I'll be spending more time on that one. Okay, so let's get started. So very different, it'll be a lot shorter than the other Mythbuster video. So away we go. So, the C. fasciatum is commonly called the Costa Rican tiger rump, and the C. schmarde is either called the Costa Rican green rump, as I saw in Scott Tarantula's website, or as I like to call them, the yellow-banded bird eater, which you'll see in a bit because it has all yellow bands on its legs. So the Latin names are Cyclosternum Fasciatum and Cyclosternum schmarde. So this is the way how we pronounce them. Cyclosternum, pretty easy genus name to pronounce. And this one, Fasciatum and schmarde. Now the prices and availability of these specimens. So it is unlikely that you'll ever find these species in pet stores, so you will have to resort to online dealers to actually find them. Either if you're in Canada, Tarantula Canada, or Avery's Exotics, or even Arachnoboards Canada, and then for US, Ken the Bug Guy, Pet Center USA, Swift's Inverts, and also the Arachnoboards, the for trail and for sale section. For half-inch spiralings of C. fasciatum, they tend to go around $25 to around $40, depending on the specimen. Inches will probably go, 1 inch will probably go around $40. And if you're going to buy a larger female, like 3.5, you're probably looking in between $100 to $125. So anything over $150 is just a little bit too much for C. fasciatum. The schmarde are probably a little bit more expensive because they're more rare. I bought mine as a 2-inch unsexed specimen. Now I confirmed to be a male for about $35. Okay, so the relative sizes, the mature males, the females, the growth rate, and yeah. Alright, so let's have a look at my specimen here. So this is a Cyclosternum schmarde. This is commonly called the yellow-banded bird eater or the Costa Rican green rump. I have no idea why they call it the green rump because it's not technically green, but you can tell why they call it the yellow-banded bird eater because of their legs. You could probably see the stripes on them, very similar to the ones you see in the Chaco Goldeni. So temperaments of these guys are semi-defensive, so and they're hair kickers. So maximum size of the C. schmarde will get up to a 3.5 to 4 inch leg span. It's one of the smaller tarantulas than you would expect from G. rosea or B. smithi or B. albopilosum. So growth rates are kind of in the slow medium side. As you see, my specimen was around 2 inches when I got him in 2010. Now today it's around 2.75 inches. It probably grew about 3/4 of an inch. So they're not technically the fastest growing species, but they eat like crazy. And you can see he's starting to roam around his cage and whatnot. So mature males of this specimen will look exactly identical to the females, except you'll have tibial hooks and bulbous pedipalps. Now let's go on to the C. fasciatum, the Costa Rican tiger rump. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see my specimen too much because she's hiding. I'm assuming she's going to go into pre-molt very soon, but she's over here if you can appreciate her. This is a female. So let me see if I can try to do this with light so you can see why it's a female. Alright, white. Alright, so going up. Alright, so you can definitely see the presence of epigastric furrow on the specimen. And that's why she's a female. Okay, I think why she's burrowed like this, because I think she's in pre-molt. She has not molted in quite some time, but I'll give you a general overview of my specimen, what she looks like. These are one of the most pinkest tarantulas you'll ever find, next to a Girosea. Well, Girosea is not that pink compared to this one. Alright, so that's what my C. fasciatum looks like. Roughly the same size as my Schmarte, just a little bit bigger. Okay, so they're characteristic of those tiger rump abdomens, and they have a just slight mirror patch on their abdomen. Alright, it won't bug her, so that's what she looks like. Again, they're very similar to the C. Schmarte in size and growth rate. They're really slow. Stella was bought as a 3/4 inch specimen back in 2008, so between that time frame, that's how big she got. So it's not really a spectacular growth like the Pokies or the Phormictopus cancerides, but again, these are very great eaters, and they're great to keep. Alright, again, males will live around 3 to 4 years, females will live 12 to 15, and sizes are around 4.5 inches. They're actually a little bit larger than the Schmarte. Okay, so now going on to the care sheet of this portion of the video. So I'll remind you that Cyclosternum species are New World terrestrials, being that they come from a New World country such as the 3 American continents. Mainly they're focused on the Central Americas, such as Costa Rica, but they can also be found in Colombia and Venezuela, as the species suggested earlier that I showed you. Okay, so about their enclosure setups, so a sling, of course, I recommend pill jars, sort of like this. This is how I used to house Stella when she was a baby. I used to feed her crushed crickets to pinheads, and I just feed her regularly, just keep the substrate a little bit moist than usual, because you can offer a water dish when they're that small. For juveniles, you can upgrade to these deli containers. Just drill some holes on the top and put some substrate in there. It would be perfect for your 1 to 1.5 to about 2 inches. So we're like my Lacidora Kluge. Or you can buy those critter keepers that you can get from the dollar store. Houses my B. Amelia really good. So substrate I recommend is either potting soil or eco earth. This is what eco earth is again, the brick type earth. Very good substrate to use. You might want to put a lot of substrate in your C. Schmarte tank and your C. fasciatum tank, because they are opportunistic burrowers, meaning that they'll burrow if given the chance. As you saw my specimen, the C. fasciatum loves to burrow. So all you need is just some substrate, a water dish. You can use either a bottle cap from a soft drink bottle to one of those fairly orange drinks that comes in bottles. You can use that as a cap. Actually, it's pretty good for a specimen of this size. Alright, now going on to the Cyclosternum Fasciatum, the Costa Rican tiger rump. Adults will do well in a 6-liter shoebox enclosure, so all I did is make air holes with a drill bit or a soldering gun. I prefer the soldering gun because it's more cleaner. With drill bits, it's not always the greatest because it leaves jagged chunks, and it could actually, if your tarantula does climb, it might actually hurt itself, and that could be fatal. So I just tend to use the soldering gun to make all these holes around the top. It's good for ventilation too. So again, water dish, a little cave, and some substrate. I used to use potting soil, but eventually I'm going to switch it this summer to Eco Earth. So it's not really an overly too complex of a setup, if you ask me. Okay, so temperature, you would tend to keep them slightly above room temperature, like around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Be perfect for this species. And for humidity, I would go for at least 75 to 80%. Now, these tarantulas prefer semi-moist substrate, but not overly too wet. So whenever you see your tarantula either on the glass of its cage or on the cave, either like a flower pot or the bark, it means that your substrate is too wet and your tarantula is not liking it. So that's pretty much it for the care sheet. It's really easy to keep. You know, like if you see from my tarantula feeding videos, I feed them once every 2 weeks and they're doing fine. Actually, I'm going to be making tarantula feeding video 66 very soon. So I'm getting some crickets tomorrow, so hopefully we'll see a nice video about that. Now about breeding teas. So I was checking up on arachnivorts. I really couldn't find that much information on the species. Other than that, the species are fairly complicated to breed because the female is very aggressive towards the male. The mating rituals are rather long. Sometimes it'll take them almost an hour and a half for their mating ritual to begin. I have no set number on the sac, well, the number of eggs in a sac, but I do know that it has a 1 to 3 month gestation period if successfully bred. So this species is also known to double clutch. So let's say if you get a sac, you might potentially get another sac a couple of weeks later if you bred them enough times. So temperament, as I described, they are very skittish, but mostly semi-defensive, which doesn't make it a great handleable tea. So semi-defensive means that they'll either kick urticating hairs, and they can be defensive enough to throw threat postures. Now, their venom is not very dangerous to us, at least not as dangerous as Poecilotheria venom or Sternotopelma venom, but their venom is rather intermediate. You will get, intense pain around the bite area. You'll may get like a little fever, chills, and swelled itchiness, but no less than like severe muscle cramps that you'll see in most old world bites. So handling is generally not recommended because the species is also very quick. As you saw, Stella, when she was trying to escape from the sunlight, she just hates lights. It's also another photosensitive species. But other than that, I recommend this for an intermediate keeper that wants something a little bit more aggressive than your typical G. rosea, B. smithi, avic, or E. camperstratus. So it's an awesome tea to buy, especially the C. fasciatum, one of the many iconic tarantulas in the hobby, one of the more classic ones that you should get. So I want to thank you for watching this awesome Mythbuster video. And the next Mythbuster video I'm going to be tackling on is the horned species, the horned baboons, the Ceratogaris species. Those are going to be awesome. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys.